Alright, David Harry here, and I recently done a video showing a dual lavalier set which cost like £5.99 or $9.99 for you guys in North America. Now, just to further the use of such a cheap wireless microphone, what I'd done was got hold of one of these kind of like, handheld reporter stick type things. So let me just quickly show you what this is. So for less than £20, you get the stick, and it's got like a connection on the end where you can connect most of like, the common wireless, like transmitters and stuff. But it comes with 3 foam filters, and you also get one of these kind of channel flag ID things that you can put on the stick, and you put the stickers on like to say who you are and whatnot. You also get a Deadcat as well. So what I'm doing in this video is to connect one of the transmitters to the thing there, and then throw one of the foam filters on, and then also try it with the Deadcat as well, all using an iPhone 16 Pro Max. Okay, so the first test that I'm gonna do then is with the foam filter, and what it is right now, I'm just over a full arm's length away from the phone or the lens or the camera, whatever you want to call it. Now, the thing with this distance here, this might be really good for certain things where you just need like a relatively close up of something. Now, I dare say you could probably squeeze 2 people into this frame. However, what you would probably want to do is start just coming back a bit further away when you want to start like getting somebody else in the shot as well. So if you're just doing a dead simple interview and you're just, passing the microphone backwards and forwards between whoever you're interviewing and you doing the talking and stuff. I mean, it doesn't have to be an interview, it could be anything, you know what I mean? And you could have more than 2 people and you're just passing the microphone around. But this will give you a really good idea as to how it sounds like. Now, what I'm going to do just at this distance here, I'll turn around. Now, I did notice that I lost connection at a similar distance when the microphone was like strapped to me chest, as it were, just clipped onto me tracky top. However, because the mic is now being like held away from me, or the transmitter is held away from me, my body might become less of an impediment to the actual transmission when I lose line of sight. So let's just check that. So what I'm going to do is just kind of like, turn around relatively slowly here. And then at some point I will break line of sight with the receiver. Now, right now I'm definitely breaking line of sight with the receiver. So if it's going to cut off, I'd imagine it'll cut off about now. However, as I come turning back around again here, if it did cut off when I lost line of sight, it will definitely like catch back up again right now. So what I'm going to do is just quickly switch over to something else. Okay, so what I've switched over to now is this Fairy Deadcat, which comes with this super cheap like mic wireless stick thing. Anyway, so this will give us an idea of if the tone changes that much, and well, was it that much different compared to when I just had the foam filter on. Now, there is a little bit of a breeze at the moment, and the breeze that I've got going might well be something that would distort the microphone if it didn't have any kind of like wind protection on it, or like, foam filter and stuff like that. However, right now, this particular example is really just to give us like, an idea of like whether there's like a lot of tonal change. Now, the thing is, whether it's like, Deadcats like this, or whether it's foam filters, they will impede like the tonality to some degree. Sometimes it happens like, very drastically, other times it doesn't, and sometimes it doesn't actually sound like anything's changed. So once again, this is really just to give us an idea of tonality. Now, what I'm going to do is just walk around a little bit as well. Not that you would probably do too much walking around if you're doing like instances of a handheld mic doing interviews and stuff like that. However, what I'm going to do is do a little bit of turning around as well, and then let's just see, how much kind of like cutting off happens when I lose line of sight with the phone and therefore the receiver. Now, again, this is not something that I would want to do with any system like this, walking this far away and stuff. It just doesn't make sense for my particular workflow. However, for other people, it might be a deal. So I'm just going to turn around again here. So back right to the camera right now. Now, like I say, you know, when I did the same tests yesterday with just the microphone attached to me, because my body was like massively in the way of line of sight, it was cutting out. Now, there is a fair, I mean, that's when I was losing line of sight. However, right now, I don't know. I mean, there could be a chance at certain angles, it still might be picking up okay from this distance here. And I'll just do another turn around so my back's to the camera there. Okay, so I'll just start walking back. Now, if it was cutting out as I was turning around, or if it was cutting out as I was getting further away, the chances are it's not going to cut out at all as I'm walking straight back. And once again, you know, for doing stuff like this, which would be like ENG, as it were, or electronic news gathering, or for whatever, like, you know, reason, you might want to use a handheld mic system like this wirelessly, and, like, you know, with one or two other people in the shot and stuff, the chances are is that you are not going to be turning around with your back to the camera, and you are likely to be everyone facing the camera, and you're just passing the mic around to get dialogue. So again, that whole thing, testing for line of sight, I mean, you know, you've got to kind of like put that into perspective as to the use of what the microphone's going to be for. Now, let me just test one other thing. Okay, so just a quick test of the microphone without anything on it. Now, the breeze has dropped down right now, so hopefully I don't get any distortion of the capsule due to like wind and breeze and stuff like that. However, what I'm doing now is just to give ourselves an idea of the tonality of the microphone without anything attached to it. So basically, you know, what was it like with the foam filter on compared to with the Deadcat on, compared to without anything on it, as to how the microphone sounds. I mean, obviously we've got to gauge that by the sound of my voice and stuff, but those three different ways of using it with and without the two filtering options and then on its own, that should give us, you know, a bit of an idea as to what the tonal impact is when using those filters. However, there is one thing I've got to overemphasize here. This stick with like the filters, and it comes with one of those things where you can, you know, put like, you know, stuff on it and to say who you are. I think they're called channel flags or something like that for, like, you know, news stuff and what have you. The whole thing costs less than £20 for the stick with all the stuff with it. And then on top of it, this microphone system with the two mics in it and stuff costs less than £6. So for less than £26, or a shade just under £26, this is a fully fledged mobile wireless handheld, you know, microphone system. It's just started getting a bit breezy now, so this might interfere a little bit with the microphone. But the point that I'm getting at is here, in fact, I'll just walk around a little bit. The point that I'm getting at here is, I've got me back to the wind hopefully so it won't distort. No, sorry, the point that I'm getting at is this thing is just ridiculously cheap, and I've already listened to the mic on its own when I had it attached to myself, and there's no way it should sound as good as it does for £6, simple as. And on top of that, I would go so far as to say, not just for £6, I just think it sounds really good anyway, really decent, and it stands up super well against, like, you know, wireless mic systems that cost way more money. You know, these typical things that you would get by the likes of DJI and Rode and people like that. Can you really hear a massive difference between £6 and maybe a few £100 or $10 and a few $100, which is what you might end up paying for, say, one of the Rode systems, which has got the two mics and all the rest of it? And plus, on top of all that, this thing comes with the two receivers. So you've got a USB-C receiver and a Lightning receiver. So the point that I'm getting at is here, this is £26. We shouldn't be expecting anything amazing from it. However, I think, you know, or, well, I've not listened to how it sounds in this scenario, but the mic on its own, just like typically clipped on, sounded great for what it is. Anyway, I'm just going to dive off back indoors, have a little listen to what's gone on here, and then do an end summary. Okay, so to an end summary, and the only thing that I'm going to say here is that wireless radio microphone system cost less than £26. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, yeah, there's going to be links and what have you to everything used in this video in the video description below. And also, don't forget to check out the other video where I was using the lavaliers on their own with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And like, there'll be a link to that somewhere and what have you. Anyway, if you've liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. A sub to the channel would be absolutely awesome. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.